Well, good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Callender, and I have the great pleasure of serving as president for this very fine institution. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this annual luncheon, which honors several of our best and brightest students. It's always fun to celebrate with them, and also celebrate with the benefactors who are helping us make their dreams come true. For more than 120 years now, UTMB has been a very special place. Those of you who are benefactors know that. We think you believe in that, but it's always nice to reflect on that and reflect on the work that's been done here and on UTMB's impact, not only around Texas, but around the nation and around the world. We continue to be, from the time of our founding, focused on educating the healthcare workforce of the future, no matter when the future is or occurs. We also spend a lot of time teaching our students how to be lifelong learners. That's very important for success in a health profession, and our students through the ages have done a good job of learning to be lifelong learners, and that's enabled them to have great success in their careers and assume many different forms of leadership positions. We are committed to continuing to foster an academic environment that values integrity, compassion, and respect, some of our principal core values. We have this marvelous reputation for educational excellence, and we certainly want to hold on to that reputation and grow it over the course of time. And I think a number of our students recognize the work that's occurred here, the success of our students, and they choose to come here. They're committed to being part of a compassionate community, a community of service, and one that is marked by its own strength of character. I think looking forward that it's a very exciting time now for UTMB. We certainly have been tested, particularly in the past few years, but we've all pulled together and stood up to that test, and I think passed with flying colors. And now we have a chance to really be a part of defining the future of healthcare, playing an even more impactful role and thinking about how we can improve access to great health care, improve the quality of the service that we deliver to others. I'm also excited today to be able to introduce Dr. Danny Jacobs, our new provost and dean of the School of Medicine, executive vice president, and I'll spend a little more time introducing him in a few moments after lunch, and then he'll have some words to say. I think you will be very impressed, if you're not already, by the energy and enthusiasm and passion for our mission that he brings to UTMB. As you look around, in fact, some of you, if you've looked over towards the east, the northeast part of our campus, you may have seen those very big cranes that are out there working, and to me, they're symbolic of that focus on the future that I described earlier, a visual reminder that we're committed to having state-of-the-art facilities and patient care opportunities to use to help our students learn, be prepared for the future. We're doing improvements across our campus, making it possible for our students to gain all sorts of real-world experiences here that will enable them to practice a patient-centered and evidence-based care. We believe that whatever paths that our students pursue, whether it be in primary care, specialty care, some form of volunteerism, community outreach, traveling the globe to serve people in need, whether they're contributing to research discoveries, no matter what they're doing, that they will do their best, they will make UTMB proud, and as I said earlier, be involved in defining the future of health and health care. So we think about how we enable that future, how we serve the growing population in this country that's aging, that needs the highest quality care. We want to make sure that students are learning with us, growing with us, and certainly we want to be able to offer opportunities for as many students as possible to come here. We don't want anybody to be overcome, overwhelmed, put off by financial hardship. So those of you who are benefactors here today, thank you so much for helping secure the future for our students, for enabling their success, for them to go on to success in the future. We are truly grateful for your faith in us to educate them and prepare for the future, and truly grateful for your support for our students. Many of you met Danny before the luncheon started. We had a reception for him out in the foyer. He joined us officially October 1st with his lovely wife, Nancy, and he is hard at it, stepping into the role, learning a lot of new faces and names, learning about the history of UTMB and about all the things that are happening. And we're just so happy that he's here and that he and Nancy are engaging in the Galveston and surrounding communities as they are. Not a surprise to us. They're very accomplished people. Dr. Jacobs comes to us from Duke University Medical Center, where he was the David C. Stabison Jr. Professor and Chair of Surgery. He earned his undergraduate and Master of Public Health degrees from Harvard and received his MD from WashU in St. Louis. He completed his surgical residency at the Hospital University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He has authored a number of scientific articles and books and other publications. He is an editor, has been an editor of a number of publications and journals. He has research interest in the metabolic effects of malnutrition, stress, infection, and injury, nuclear magnetic resonance applications in organ function and metabolism, and specific nutrients and growth factors in enteral and parenteral nutritional support. He has an amazing fund of knowledge, a very smart fellow, marvelous breadth of experience that I think we will find invaluable as we define UTMB's opportunities for the future. We're most fortunate to have a proven leader of his caliber here with us, accompanied by Nancy. Nancy, who is an outstanding individual. We're just so pleased to have them as members of the UTMB family. So I'm going to ask Dr. Jacobs to come up now and say a few words and talk a little bit more about how he sees things just far, and we'll go on with our program. Danny, welcome so much. Nancy, welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for those kind comments, Dr. Callender, and good afternoon to everyone. How's everyone doing? You know, these are one of the great things about being in academic medicine, so I'm happy to be here. And so I'd like to join Dr. Callender in welcoming you all to this year's scholarship function. Also, as Dr. Callender mentioned, I want to make sure I take a little time and thank you all on behalf of my wife, Nancy, and me for the gracious welcome. We really have enjoyed getting into the community. We already feel pretty settled, so it's wonderful. As I approach the 1 month mark of my tenure here at UTMB, you know, I've been impressed that I've already had the opportunity to meet many wonderful people, and like I said, events like this are really special to me. So I've had the chance to meet many of UTMB's alumni and friends who are passionate about making a difference, not just for today, but for generations to come. Meeting such ardent supporters has been heartening to me, and it's also been wonderful to learn how their generosity and your generosity touches virtually every aspect of UTMB's campus. So, you know, as I've walked around the campus, it's easy to see what these gifts can do and what they are doing. As Dr. Callender mentioned, we see their impact on the construction and renovations that are currently taking place on campus. You know, we're building the new Jenny Seeley Hospital. This will be a world-class facility that will herald a new era in medical education and patient care at UTMB. And you can also see the impact of these gifts by the presence of our students here today. And I've had a great time already sort of getting to know a little bit about them. We were talking about anatomy just now and how much things have changed. And I'm not that old, but in the recent history, you know, computers weren't around. Technology as we know it didn't exist. You know, the internet was the dream. The Human Genome Project was just an idea. So these are wonderful things going on, and so you can see the impact that your gifts are having on our students today. The benefactors here and others help to ensure that students will not be deprived of a UTMB education because of financial hardships or burdens. I would also mention that such generosity was important in my own career, being a beneficiary of those kinds of gifts, and so I think I can appreciate their significance. So I think I'm here to, on behalf of the institution, express gratitude to the alumni and friends who are here. Your kindness and generosity cannot be overstated. You have helped shape the future of countless students, and your investments have helped ensure that UTMB will educate and continue to educate the best and brightest students to become tomorrow's leaders in the practice of medicine, in research, and also in their communities. I like quotes, so I have one here from Sir Winston Churchill, who once commented, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." So it's my distinct honor now to introduce Jason Burrows, who's going to come up and say a few words. We talked a bit at the table here. He's going to give his perspective on scholarship support. Jason came to UTMB from the University of California, and I now understand is a fourth-year medical student. So Jason, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Jacobs, for the introduction. It's a real honor to be able to stand up here today and to talk to everyone. I hope I can express my gratitude for everything that scholarships have done for me personally, and I also hope to express the sentiments of all the students in the room, because everyone has something that they really would like to tell you. So I did go to the University of California in San Diego. As I told my table earlier, I am from San Diego, California. I applied to Texas as a pre-medical student due to the strength of the UT system. And I applied to UTMB specifically for the richness of its history, its academic success, and, since I am a coastal boy, for its position on the third coast here in Galveston. When I came to UTMB to interview, I left with two really key thoughts. One, that the university created students that were academically successful, prepared them for whatever specialty or residency program that they wanted to pursue in the next step of their career. And I also left with a more important thought, that there was a genuine friendliness and a genuine collegiality among students that really was unmatched by any of the other institutions I visited. And 4 years later, I can't really tell you what it is, and it's hard because interviewing students always ask, what is it that makes that? And is it, the beach? Is it the faculty, the curriculum? Is there some magic ether in the salt air? I can't tell them, and it's hard sometimes to convince people of just how great the atmosphere is. Students here help each other to a fault, and students here, I think, really enjoy medical school while becoming competent and skilled physicians. And I'm guessing that a lot of the donors in the room, a lot of the UTMB graduates, would have the same memories and the same experiences, and that span of years to decades is quite impressive for a university, and I think speaks a lot to the special place that UTMB is. So recently at a residency interview, I was asked personally, outside of patient care, what is the most rewarding experience you've had in medical school? And for me, the answer is easy. Tutoring first and second year students, I feel, has been my opportunity to make a positive impact and contribute to the atmosphere of the student body. It's also had its rewards and challenges. Those have directed me to a career in academic medicine. I'm applying for pediatric residencies with the plan of a fellowship in critical care medicine. And as I go to those residency interviews, I now know just how important the atmosphere among the program is going to be. Residents working together are going to improve patient care, and they're also going to improve each other's movement through that step in their career and their future opportunities as a physician, a faculty member, whatever they choose to pursue. At the same time that we have this excitement with approaching graduation, there is some intimidation. One of the intimidating things is my medical decision-making will no longer be a suggestion, but an actual action in the care of my patients, which is quite scary. One of the other things is we start thinking about how are we going to reverse the flow of money. We were getting financial aid that went into our accounts, and now that repayment is going to be going the opposite direction. And that can be intimidating. I think, fortunately for all of the students in the room, the number that is going to be going back out is a fraction of the U.S. average. For some students in this room, there may be no money that they need to repay. And I think before I say more about that, to give you guys a perspective, I can't show it on my face, but to talk a little bit about the emotions that we have when we receive a scholarship letter, there's a mixture of, I would say, joy and relief. The joy comes from the just generous donation, the award you received, but the relief, I think, speaks volumes because you immediately know that any student loans you were going to take that year are reduced by the amount you just were awarded. And that relief, I think, tells you a lot about the impact student loans and financial concerns can have on the decision for future careers, and also for the ability for you to pursue your goals and aspirations that you entered medical school with. And so that relief, I think, and that reduction in that repayment will allow all the students to go forth in the career that they want to pursue because it is their dream, to fulfill the goals and aspirations in their community, both domestically and abroad, to take the scholarship donation and not use it in an individual way, but to use it in a way where they can benefit the community for years to come, possibly for the next 3 or 4 decades as we practice medicine. So I thank you guys for allowing me to talk. It's been a great honor to be able to talk today, and I hope I expressed my gratitude. I hope I expressed the gratitude of all the students in the room. The donations you guys give in the form of scholarships makes a tremendous impact on our education, and I can't thank you enough. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Lori Thomas. Dr. Thomas is the Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions. She is a very integral part of our life on campus. She has high expectations of the students, but she matches those expectations with her own efforts. And she works tirelessly for us even when we don't know it. So please give her a warm welcome as we introduce her to the podium.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you so very much, Jason, for saying that. It really is an honor and a pleasure for me to stand up and represent our students and say to our benefactors how awesome, what a great job that you're doing when you help our students and therefore help the UTMB community to educate this talented pool of students who will now go out into the real world and save lives and do it so well and elegantly and gracefully because of the support and the financial aid that has come from our benefactors. So I'm Dr. Laurie Thomas. I'm the Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions here at UTMB, and I just simply love our students. They don't always know that, but I think sometimes they call it tough love. But I'm at my best when I'm making scholarship awards. When I was a practicing physician, my specialty was geriatrics, and that is to say anyone over 65, no one under. And if you were chronically frail and ill, then I felt it was going to be my job to reshape you and remold you with God's help, of course, and put you back onto a pathway of wellness. And so, Jason, thank you again for sharing those wonderful remarks today. And it is so good to hear from our outstanding students. What Jason did not tell you was that one wonderful day, he and Rachel Lombardo came to my office, and they were really excited. And they said, Dr. Thomas, we've discovered how to get our other colleagues how to do well on boards. And I said, really? And he said, yes, both of them. And I said, come right in, come right in. And so they proceeded to tell me what they wanted to do in order to help our students. So that wonderful collegial atmosphere, that gift of giving, of helping others, has been directly portrayed with Jason and Rachel and several of the other students. Taylor Howard is also one of the scholarship recipients, and they've done a superb job. And I really, really want our benefactors to know that these students also give back to other students. And so the endowments that have been established ensure that we are able to reward the academic achievements of some of our best and brightest students. And this will happen for generations to come. These men and women are among the most committed supporters of UTMB's educational enterprise. And as I read about the scholarships you have created, I would ask that you stand and be recognized. And then what we want you to do is move down to the side so that you can take a photograph with the recipient, Dr. Callender and Dr. Jacobs. So thank you. So the first person is a man with love and music and poetry and beauty, and that's Dr. Banerjee. And Sue is with us today, and Sue knows how I feel about Dr. Banerjee. Dr. Banerjee was a very passionate, gifted teacher, and those who knew him knew how well these words described a man. One of UTMB's most beloved faculty members, Dr. Banerjee inspired generations of students in the classroom. Given by his wife, Sue, and many family members, colleagues, friends, and students, the Japan Banerjee Scholarship honors his lifelong commitment to teaching excellence. Sue is with us today, and for all of you who've made possible, you have our wholehearted appreciation. Also with us today is this year's recipient, Brian Ager of Spokane, Washington. He's a graduate of Western Washington University. Brian plans to specialize in radiation oncology, a very competitive field. He aspires to a career spent on treating and partnering with cancer patients outside of medicine. He enjoys sports, playing the guitar and piano, and spending time with his family. We'd like to congratulate Brian on receiving this wonderful scholarship. Dr. Mari Recognition, and this is Dr. Powell, keeping alive the memory of people we admire and respect, people who, through example they set in their personal and professional lives, left this world a better place, is something many of us are called to do. Dr. John Damari was such a person, and thanks to the generosity of Dr. Don Powell and many others, Dr. Damari's memory will be recalled each year with the rewarding of the John Damari Memorial Prize for colon research. Little wonder then that his colleague Dr. Powell would lead the way in creating a gift that honored his life and career. The product of this generosity, the Dr. Damari Memorial Prize, recognizes students or fellows for the best abstract, poster, or oral presentation on colorectal cancer research. Dr. Powell, as you can see, is with us today, and for all that you've made possible, you have our deepest gratitude. Thank you so very much. The Dickens Recognition. Occasionally, we are fortunate enough to know a man whose life work enriches an entire community. Dr. Ned Dutney was such a man. Dr. Dutney graduated from UTMB's School of Medicine in 1949. Following his services as commander of a battalion aid station in Korea, he embarked on a career caring for citizens of League City, Texas, and it's disbanded a half-century. His specialty was family medicine, a path he chose because he wanted to form long-term relationships with his patients. The Ned Dutney MD Scholarship reflects his lifelong dedication by supporting medical students who intend to practice family medicine. But his influence on the community did not stop at the patient's bedside. His many civic leadership activities made a lasting impression throughout Galveston County. We are honored to be joined by Dr. Dutney's widow, Faye. Leadership by example, it inspires, it encourages, it also sets the pace. To find an example of such leadership, we need to look no farther than our own Dr. Harry Kello and his wife, Maria. Their stories is a story of engagement with UTMB that resonates on many levels: alumnus, professor, benefactors. Dr. Kelso is a 1965 graduate of the School of Medicine, where he currently teaches as a clinical professor of internal medicine. His service to his alma mater also includes membership on the development board. He and Mrs. Kelso are also long-term members of the President Cabinet. When they established the Kelso Endowment Blocker Scholarship, they made an investment in UTMB that will inspire academic excellence for generations to come. The Kelsos understand that students in the MD, PhD combined degree program represents the future of biomedical research in the state of Texas, the United States, and around the world. This year's recipient is Muyad Almaharik, as an MD, PhD student studying pharmacology and toxicology. Congratulations, Muyad. We are also pleased that Dr. and Mrs. Kelso are here today, and we salute your engagement with UTMB and our students. Thank you so very much. Teacher, advisor, mentor, a great professor in all these things and more. The best of the best that life can challenge. For the scores of students he brought to the threshold of medical school, Dr. E. OBanion was the very best. During his distinguished career as professor and chairman of chemistry and director of the Natural Sciences Department at Prairie View A&M University, Dr. OBanion helped to prepare students for the rigors of medical school. To honor his commitment to encouraging Prairie View students to attend medical school, Dr. Harmon Kelly and his wife Harriet established the E. OBanion Endowed Presidential Scholarship as a lasting memorial to Mrs. Kelly's father. We are extremely delighted that Dr. and Mrs. Kelly are with us today. Please join me in saluting their many contributions. Also joining us today is this year's recipient, Jeracia Watson. She is a 209 graduate of Prairie View A&M, and she's been an active mentor to undergraduate students, helping them to become competitive medical school applicants. She is part of the Rural Health Care Tract and is currently applying for residency in family medicine. Congratulations, Jeracia. Rust recognition. Radiology, the best specialty that employs, the best medical specialty that employs the use of imaging to both diagnose and treat disease and injury. Practitioners know that the better you can see the problem, the better you can treat it. Radiology is all about vision. As one of Texas' long-standing leading radiologists, Dr. Ron Russ knows about this vision, and he knows about it very well. But his vision extends beyond the clinic, reaching into the future of medical education at UTMB. The Ronald and Candace Russ Scholarship reflects that outlook. But that's only one example of their generosity to UTMB. Their support includes service on the development board, the president's cabinet, and the School of Medicine's advisory board. Recently, they added to this list by making a leading gift towards the construction of the new Jeannie Seely Hospital. This year's recipient of the Russ Scholarship is the fourth-year student, Asher Susterman. Asher could not join us today because he's presenting research findings at a national conference in New Orleans this afternoon. He is pursuing a career in plastic surgery. In fact, he already has made 2 plastic surgery mission trips to Guatemala. And I have known Dr. Russ since coming here to UTMB, and it has been an absolute delight and enjoyment in meeting with him and talking to him about students, because he truly understands what it means to give. He truly knows what it means to help our students. And so every time that I see him, I feel that wonderful, warm sense of connectedness to both an alumni and to an alumnus and to a benefactor. And he knows that I love him dearly. Dr. and Mrs. Russ, please come forward. And we certainly would like to thank you for all that you've made possible in helping our students, especially in contributing to the Kaplan course in preparation for the USMLE Step 1. Stout Recognition. 1972 was a noteworthy year. The Watergate break-in occurred. 8-track stereo tape players were all the rage, and President Nixon visited China. It was also the year that Dr. Landon Stout came to UTMB. During his 40 years with us, Dr. Stout has played an important role in training future generations of pathologists. In fact, he directed the pathology residency program for 13 years. Established in 1995 by Dr. Stout and his wife, Elaine, The Stout Award for Excellence in Pathology recognizes academic achievement in the science of pathology. But there is more to their story. The Stout support for the department includes endowed professorships in anatomic pathology, autopsy pathology, cytopathology, and surgical pathology. This year's recipient of the Stout Award is Daniel Dang. Dr. Dang graduated this spring and is now in his pathology residency at UT Southwestern. Dr. and Mrs. Stout, we are very, very grateful for your remarkable support of UTMB and all of our students. The Donovan Recognition. How do you recognize someone for 28 years of outstanding service? This was the main question that many Claire Donovan colleagues, friends, and family members were considering when she retired from UTMB in 2001. Their solution? Of course, establish the Claire Donovan Medical Education Scholarship Fund. For nearly 30 years, Claire was the assistant to the School of Medicine dean, 3 of them, in fact. Deans, faculty, staff, and students relied on her expertise, and they were all glad that they did. Now, through her namesake scholarship, the support continues to medical students who are committed to primary care medicine in the state of Texas. This year's recipient is Dr. Karen Spurgeon Welch, and Dr. Welch in her family medicine residency here at UTMB, where she focuses on prevention, integrative medicine, and behavioral health. She could not be with us today, but she certainly is here in spirit, and I know Karen very well. We are very happy to be joined today by Claire Donovan, Harvey Bunce, and their grandson, Liam Donovan. And I must say, he certainly is a good-looking high school student. Stand up, Liam. Can everyone, can you stand up so that we can see him? There he is. So we'd like to personally thank Claire for all that she's done and for all that she will continue to do. A wonderful supporter and benefactor of UTMB. Thank you, Claire. Dickens Recognition. Anatomy, that biomedical discipline dedicated to understanding the functions of organs and structures in the human body. It demands much of those who would master it. Jimmy Doyle Dickens excelled at anatomy. In fact, he had already earned a graduate degree in the field and was the third-year medical student at UTMB when unfortunately he died in 1970. Faculty and medical students alike considered him a gifted scholar with a bright future as an anatomist ahead of him. Many faculty, friends, family members established the Jimmy Doyle Dickens Memorial Award Endowment in Anatomy to honor his legacy. Each year, the award recognizes those first-year medical students who distinguished themselves in the study of anatomy. This year's award recipient is second-year student Brittany Schreiber, a microbiology graduate of Texas A&M. Brittany is also an accomplished French horn player. She could not join us today. Well, we are very honored to have Jimmy's wife, Mariana, with us today, and we certainly thank you for all that you have done to support our students in anatomy, and I would certainly like to extend my personal thanks because it is so critically important that students know that they are nurtured, but in carrying on his name, it is just a wonderful thing to do, and we're certainly honored that you could be with us today. Anthony Recognition Flannery's The Eyes of Science, or The Science of Eyes. It was to pursue that renowned ophthalmologist, Dr. Lemuel Flannery, dedicated his lifelong and illustrious career. For 40 years, Dr. Flannery was a leader in the field, practicing in the Heights neighborhood of Houston. There, he treated thousands of patients, helping to improve their vision and touching their lives forever. Dr. Flannery, a 1944 graduate of UTMB, understood that endowed scholarships are essential to the future of the university. Little wonder then that through his estate, he created the Wes and Leona Anthony Endowed Presidential Scholarship. Named in his honor of his in-laws whose support made his medical education more secure, the scholarship now supports the best and brightest of UTMB students. We are very pleased that Dr. Flannery's son, David, and his wife, Patricia, are with us today representing the Anthony Scholarship. Welcome to you both. Also joining us is this year's recipient, Andrew Mai, a native Houstonian. Andrew is now in his 3rd year of medical school. He is a biomedical engineering graduate at the University of Texas at Austin. Congratulations, Andrew. The Dr. Zeebo Recognition. The writer Henry Adams once had this to say about teaching. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell us where his influence stops. Great teachers inspire generations of students. Dr. Herbert Zeebo was such a professor. For 11 years, he served on the UTMB faculty, twice winning the Golden Apple Award for excellence in teaching. Medical students select the winners of this prestigious award, making it one of the highest honors at UTMB a faculty member can receive. It is no surprise then that following his retirement from UTMB, a group of alumni and friends established the Herbert Zeebo MD Scholarship. It was their way of thanking the teacher that had inspired them while paying tribute to his dedication to excellence in medical education. This year's recipient is 4th-year student Stephanie Rhodes. She has a master's degree in physical therapy from the Mayo Clinic, and Stephanie is currently on an away rotation in Utah and could not be here. We are very delighted, Dr. Zeebo, that you could join us today, and we thank you for all that you've done, for the many contributions. And I know I have to send this very special thanks from Stephanie because she is so very grateful and has made a lot of difference in her life, and I know that personally. So thank you, Dr. Zeebo. Class of 1952 recognition, Drs. Schultz and Shapiro. It has been 60 years since the class of 1952 graduated from UTMB. 89 medical students received their diplomas that day, standing on the threshold of their medical careers. Those careers today touch many thousands of people in Texas and also around the world. It created a professional legacy of extraordinary patient care. That legacy lives on today through the class of 1952 Golden Anniversary Endowed Scholarship. Created by members in the class of 2002, it was their way of celebrating a half-century of good, long, hard work. It was also their way of ensuring that the future generations of UTMB medical students would have the means to attend the rigorous of their studies without financial worries. We are very honored today to have 2 class members with us, Dr. Herman Schultz and Dr. Edward Shapiro. We are delighted to have you and your fellow classmates, the 1952 graduates. Also with us today is this year's recipient, 2nd-year medical student, David Bowen. David is a graduate of the University of Virginia and the University of North Texas Health Science Center, where he earned a master's degree in medical science. He is a contributing author to 2 research articles published this year, and here's an interesting fact. In fact, it is a very interesting fact. His brother Jason graduated from our school last year, and I am so happy that, David, we did finally listen to you, because he asked us to accept him into medical school because he thought that he would be an excellent student. And every time I see the name David Bowen, I'm reminded that you should always listen to those pre-med students. So I'm so very happy that you could be with us today, and thank you so very much. At this time, it is really a privilege and an honor to introduce Dr. Harmon Kelly, who has agreed to share his thoughts as a UTMB scholarship benefactor. A 1971 graduate of the UTMB School of Medicine, Dr. Kelly has enjoyed a distinguished career in obstetrics and gynecology. He and his wife, Harriet, are recognized nationally as leading collectors of African American art in the United States. Dr. Kelly's service to UTMB includes membership on the Development Board, the School of Medicine Alumni Association Board of Trustees, and its Diversity and Medical Education Committee, where he is currently the chairman. As we have heard earlier, the Kellys established the OBanion Endowed Scholarship in 2003. And it has been an absolute delight getting to know Dr. Kelly and his wife Harriet over the years. He has really inspired me as an exemplary role model. And every time that I talk to Dr. Kelly, it seems as if my day is lifted because I know he has some important words of wisdom to share with me and inspire me as I continue to help our students. And so, Dr. Kelly, we not only would like to thank you for joining us and being with us here today, we'd like to hear from you in your own words about your experience at UTMB. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. You always have very kind things to say, and always is a pleasure to see you and talk with you. Bring greetings to President Callender and to Dean Jacobs, the School of Medicine, distinguished benefactors, honored guests, and most important, the students. It is an absolute delight and honor to greet you today on the occasion of UTMB's annual School of Medicine Award and Scholarship Luncheon. I was asked to share with you some of my thoughts and experiences in the time-honored practice of the art of giving that are making a defined sacrifice so that others may benefit. When I arrived at UTMB's campus in 1967, I was somewhat lonely and isolated. At that time, there were only 7 African-American students, medical students on the campus at that time. I had truly begun to feel a part of UTMB campus when some friends, Jimmy Dawes Dickens was one of the members of the Nu Sigma Nu fraternity, asked me to join the medical school fraternity. At that time, all the black students basically stayed in Bethel Hall. We were not allowed to be members of the medical fraternities. And members of Nu Sigma Nu, towards the end of my freshman year, decided that this was probably stupid, and they asked me to join. And it was very nice to see Mary Ann. I hadn't seen her in a long time, and Jimmy was part of that group that made that come to pass. Medical school at that time, after becoming a member of the fraternity, moving into the fraternity house, having a member, was not the lonely experience that I'd experienced as a freshman medical student, essentially facing the whole medical school, which was at that time felt like being completely alone. But upon moving into the fraternity house, you had members there could always assist you. The notes were complete. You had files on examinations, all the things that at that time didn't exist for black Americans that attended the University of Texas Medical Branch. So this first lesson that I was to learn was that a positive experience in medical school can enrich one's personal and professional life. Remembering the easier transition, remembering those who cared for me, to take me under their wings made my medical school experience worthwhile. Coming from Prairie View A&M and graduating from the University of Texas here helped, and the experiences that my wife and I had here helped us to lead to the direction that we decided that we would do an endowed scholarship in Harriet's father's name. Harriet's father was the chairman of the science department at Prairie View. He had come there in 1939 and stayed at Prairie View until 1971 at the time of his untimely death at a very early age of about 57. During this course, he established the science department, the physics, the chemistry, and the biology department, and brought very wonderful professors there that prepared us to go beyond Prairie View. The first black student that was taken at the University of Texas Medical Branch was in 1948. I like to say that the medical branch took black students long before the University of Texas did. The law school went through sweat versus the board of University of Texas medical branch to try to get a black student in the law school. That never occurred at the medical branch. And then the University of Texas medical branch, I always feel very proud that they did that they were the second school in the South to take a black student, the first being the University of Arkansas. But the second student was Herman Barnett, who came here in 1948. During that course of periods, Harry's father was instrumental. It began in around about 1951 or 52 in bringing medical students, getting medical students into school here from Prairie View to come to the University of Texas medical branch, and that has persisted to the present day, what he started at that time. In 1967, when I entered medical school, there were 8 black medical students in the whole state of Texas. 7 at UTMB. Baylor had taken their first black medical student in 1965 who came from Prairie View. So 50% of the medical students in the state of Texas in 1967 were from Prairie View. So we felt very honored that for what Harriet's father had done, and that has continued to the present day of bringing students, and I'm very happy to see the number of students here that are at Prairie View, and from according to Dr. Thomas, they're all doing quite well. So Harry and I were honored. I'm very honored to do it. Both of us were, but mainly because Harriet loved her father dearly, and it was something that we wanted to do. He was a person that didn't smile very much, but the first time I ever saw Harriet's father smile was the first time I saw Harriet. Harriet was home for spring break, and was standing on the back porch of the science building with her father, and I saw him with this big smile on his face. That's the only time I ever saw. He never smiled, but he loved his daughter, so he smiled. So that was something that we could do. But he was a great man. He received all his degrees from the University of Indiana. He had his degree in physical chemistry from in 1941. He applied to industry, as all people did in chemistry in those days. And when he was required to send a photograph, the photograph with letter came back saying they didn't hire colored people. So what his options were to come south and teach. And so he came south, and fortunately for Prairie View community, he came there and spent his entire educational career at Prairie View. And so we're all thankful. He taught, his PhD was in physical chemistry with a minor in organic chemistry and botany. I'm not for sure how botany got in there, but that's what it was. But it was all of us who were pre-med majors, you had to go through Dr. OBanion for organic chemistry. And I wasn't dating Harriet when I took organic chemistry. I had graduated from Prairie View, so it had nothing to do with my grade in organic chemistry. So anyway, it's a great pleasure that we were able to do that. The great joy I've experienced over the years through the establishment of the OBanion Scholarship has been because of wonderful, hard-working students who took time at their busy studying schedule to send priceless letters letting us know a bit about their background and how the scholarship has helped them. It has served as a constant reminder that by helping others, our lives are truly enriched. Through my own life's journey, I've learned that cultivating a spirit of giving is powerful, uplifting deed that humanity needs in order to foster positive, transformative life experiences. Benevolence is admirable in its ability to serve others, and at the same time enriches the life of the soul of the giver. As a noted songwriter and gifted musician, Jackson Brown has said, and I quote, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Truly it is in the giving that we received enrichment, self-satisfaction, self-fulfillment, joy, a sense of purpose, and a dedication helping others through life's journey. I like to say that my mother used to say many years ago that we basically had two hands, one for giving and one for receiving, and that you couldn't always receive. So my thoughts about giving started many, many years ago when I basically had nothing to give. A good life can be measured in so many positive ways, but it can be positively measured by how much we give to others, not by what we receive. The profession of medicine is a notable profession which lends itself very well to the notion of self-sacrifice and giving to others. It is one of which the precept of helping others is at the forefront of enjoying a successful career. In closing, I'd like to leave you and challenge you at the same time to follow the urgings of Dr. Martin Luther King, who stated that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? In answering this question, I would challenge each of you to give a bit of yourself to rise to the greater calling of self-sacrifice. It is what the medical profession demands, and what we should demand of ourselves, especially when we are in the position to do so. For those of us who have given, try to give a bit more. For those of you who have received, remember, to whom much is given, much is expected. And then finally, always remember that there's joy in giving, and the ultimate benefit to all of us is the enriched life of happiness. Just think about it. Consider that the world will be a little bit better, not only because we have passed this way, but because we have positively impacted the lives of others through giving. Thank y'all for your attention.
Thank you, Harmon. What a wonderful message. You know, I'll never forget, you were one of the first people that I met after I came here. And very kind, very gracious, you and Harriet both. And you began to teach me about the history of this place and why it's so important. And I'll never forget that. I appreciate that. Obviously, learning that history, particularly from you, has had a big impact on me. And it continues to help me reach forward and think about how we all work together to extend the impact of UTMB. And certainly extend the impact of what Dr. OBanion started so long ago. So thank you both for your marvelous support of that effort, for supporting scholarship and service, not just here, not just at Prairie View, but around our great state and around the nation. And also for preserving history, a history that is so important to remember and to cherish and preserve forever for its many lessons. So we appreciate what the two of you have continued to bring along to use to teach all the rest of us. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all for being here today. We cannot be successful without the support of our benefactors. We appreciate so much what you've done to help us extend UTMB's legacy of service, its own history. We hope that you'll continue to work with us to do that as we go forward to our students. Thank you for what you've done already. As Dr. Kelly said, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we have high expectations for you. But we also know that you are extraordinarily capable, probably more capable than those of us who have gone before you in terms of reaching out and extending the history, that marvelous legacy of service, and creating the impact for others that UTMB is all about. So congratulations to you too. Thank you all for being here today. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the weekend.